Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing our ninth episode of the Targeted Handbook. We are going to start at street theater. And here we go. Street theater takes place around your neighborhood. These are recruits who have been illegally given your home address. Okay, so a lot of words here are misspelled. I'm gonna just read it how it's written. All right. So here we go. These are recruits who have been illegally given you home address and or is a recruited person from within the geographical neighborhood who are asked to show up at the target's private residence at all hours of the day or night, in particular if the target is home. The street theater can either be in group formation using a number of people who will show up near your residence, starting making noise, having loud conversations, and generally the conversations they are having will be specific to the target. There will also be solo individuals who walk dogs or babies. Most of the time, the perps will be on a cell phone, directing their conversation using keywords that are person to the target. I guess they meant to say personal to the target. So, the only people that I have personally felt like they were perps were only people who were walking dogs. People who have been like carrying children around, never, not once. I can see why one would feel that, but I have never had that experience. Also, one of the things is that when you have been sensitized to something, maybe the person who wrote this was sensitized to people walking around with children. But I was highly sensitive to the headlights. So, like this morning, I was at my client's home waiting for her because I train her at 5 a.m. And just across from me, I saw a car with the headlights on, and then I saw another one behind me. And then the car just stayed there and left. And then the other one behind me like came up to me and said, "Hey, you have a headlight not working." So a lot of the times you're just never gonna know, but most likely they're not perps. The ones that are perps want you to know that they're perps. So for example, whenever I have had the experience where I'm in a parking lot, right? And then a perp just parks there right in front of my car with the headlights on. And then if I'm like completely ignoring them, they just like move around really fast and rev up the engine and then park at the same spot. And then I'm like, oh, well, that's a perp. So a lot of time they're gonna tell you that they're perps. And your perception of people just hanging out in their car will change. And you're gonna start perceiving things that are completely normal, such as someone hanging in their car at 3 a.m, or people walking around with their phones. So there were a lot of times when I was at work and I saw a single person in the store, and my gang stalked mind said, they're listening to what I'm saying. And I was so sure of it. I was so sure that that person was inside of the store waiting for me to say something so that they can use it against me later. I was in survival mode. But the thing is that a lot of these things are not true. It will be true here and there, but most of the time it's not. And that's where the confusion starts, because you truly never know. But you need to pull yourself back into reality, where the truth is the reality that you have been living most of your life. Reality hasn't changed, but your perception of it will change because of gang stalking, and that's completely normal. What is most important is for you to, when you see something and you're completely convinced that they are on their phone because they're covertly recording you, you have to tell yourself, what is the probable? Is it highly likely that they're actually recording me? It feels like it is highly likely. It will feel like it. And it might have been for a little bit. But it's only during the harassment phase, when they're trying to condition you. Sometimes they're just on their phone and they're just pretending to be recording you. They will never, ever record you. Well, actually, never mind. I take that back. I take that back. They will only record you when you appear to be suffering the results of their gang stalking operation. When I had been up for 3 days, I looked horrible and I was still at the gym. I saw someone recording me with their phone. So I saw them, now that I'm thinking about this more clearly, they were recording and then they were doing the gang stalker grin. So one, there was two possibilities for this. He was doing the gang stalker grin because he was actually feeling happy about my demise, or he knew, or he saw that I looked and he pulled out his phone and he did the gang stalker grin to make me believe that he was recording me. I have had gang stalkers, when they think that I'm about to blow up, literally be like this with the gang stalker and their phone deliberately pointing at me. And I believe that that was a way of keeping me under control, so that I wouldn't do anything stupid. And it works. It really does work. It keeps you, I think that's how they keep you in line. But it's kind of a contradiction to the entire operation, because the operation, you feel like it's meant to make you blow up, right? But then they suppressing you by threatening you with the phone, with recording you. So, like everything, it's probably just to keep you confused, or two, because you have more power that they're making you believe that you don't. Like, what would I have said? Stop harassing me? Why are you recording me with your phone? You're a weirdo. That would have actually been a good thing to say, now that I think about it. Anyways, moving on. Another form of street theater is the use of public service and or utilities, whereby you will see an influx of telecommunication or utility vans around the neighborhood. There was a time during gang stalking where I saw a lot of white vans, like a lot of them. But white vans are so widely used for everything, And now people who don't work in offices, who have blue collar jobs, they have so many vans. And one time, I'm gonna tell you this. I think I mentioned this before, but I'm gonna make it shorter. I was walking into a Smart and Final in National City, and literally there were like five white vans parked around the store, and guys walked out of the vans, and they were like walking almost towards like if they were trying to grab me. But I stopped. I noticed what I felt, what I understood what they were trying to say or to show me or to make me believe. So I just looked at them, and then I just walked into the store. But there is an influx of white vans, and I'm not sure if it's the time of the year. I don't remember if it was raining or not, and there were a lot of floods. There are a lot of possibilities, It could have possibly been done on purpose because, they had the ability of having every single car, one color. So it could just be in like a little episodes where they do that. But even if they do that, they don't have antennas or whatever. They're nothing. They're just white vans. Nothing is gonna happen to you. It just is that, and you just have to ignore it. But yeah, there are times where it feels uncanny, where there were just a lot of white vans everywhere, and that was really crazy. But the only thing that you can do is stop paying attention to it. Because the more you pay attention to it, the more inside the gangstalking persona, the gangstalk person you have been, the more you focus on that, the more it's going to grow. You have to stop feeding it. In addition to the use of streets and transportation, whereby there always seems to be road work taking place so that the targeted individual is directed into another area. All right, so I experienced where this felt real. I was using drugs, I was trying to get laid, and I was staying in a hotel called the Crown Motel in El Centro, California. I was there, and I had to work in San Diego, in Imperial Beach, like at 9. So I left at like 4 in the morning. I got out of my car, and then the exit to take the 8 west was closed. So it genuinely felt like I was so sure at that point that gang stalkers had set up that they had purposely closed the road because they knew that I was gonna take that road at that time, so that I would be late or to be something that to create an inconvenience for me. It truly felt like that, but let me tell you, that is not the case. If you're connected, it's gonna feel like that, but that's never the case. Do you really think that they're going to get so many people? Like, they listen to how absurd this sounds. I was completely convinced that there were workers closing ramps off the freeway at 4 in the morning to make an inconvenience for me, to reroute me to another location. When you're getting gang stalked, this feels real. That's how you perceive the world. You perceive the world, the minor inconveniences, you perceive them as if they were set up by gang stalkers. It's truly how that feels. Now, moving on. Well, it's not the case. I just want to reiterate that. There are no people closing roadways or pretending to do work on the freaking road to freaking direct you into another area. That's not the case. That's just the city working. So if you feel like that, just let me tell you, that is a delusion. That's not real. Generally, if they are trying to set the target to appear dangerous to children, like some type of pedophile or dangerous to some type of official, they will direct all their so-called traffic to pass by an area like schools or where children are. That is just paranoia. That's just paranoia. Blatant paranoia. So, no. In addition to buildings or residences, or officials or leaders within community organizations to give a false impression that the target is talking these people or areas. So the person here that wrote this is so convinced of the whole gangstalking thing, like that they're so deep in the gangstalking perception that they feel like they are being led, that they are being directed by the city through freaking street traffic redirects where children are, where leaders or community organizations, to give the false impression that they are stalking a leader or children. Like that. No, that's not. No one is redirecting the target to any particular area. That is just city work. The person who wrote this was simply being severely paranoid. Now let's see. Okay, so this is deployed so as to further victimize the target by way of setups and entrapment. The targeted individual innocently follows the directional signs, generally not realizing that there is another recruit, taking photos or video at the very moment the target shows up. So let's say, like right now I'm parked like in front of the police station. So what if someone takes pictures of me here at the police station? What? What? Who am I stalking? A cop? There's also a community center here. So, what's a picture of me hanging out at a freaking shirtless inside my car gonna do at a fucking whatever community center or whatever? What is that gonna do? This person was obviously being paranoid, big time. So no one is doing that to you. Next, this gives the architect's video or photo showing the target in some designated up area so that it can be used in their fear-mongering recruitment process. So I can see how it would feel like that. Let's say that that I'm hanging out by a school. That would be weird. But that would be weird for anyone. Like absolutely anyone. I am really well aware of the perception, that I would give people if I would be hanging out in my car for an extended period of time by a school, by a preschool, by a park, especially where children are hanging out. But that's anyone. If I was a chick, that would be very different. But I can see that. But that's not because of gangstalking. That's just how it is. The whole thing with the stalking, the leaders or whatever, that is way beyond. Like that is complete paranoia by whoever wrote this. Now, another type of street theater will be used in forms of young recruits who will come around the target so that photos and videos will be taken to once again give the false impression that the target was doing something nefarious. These young recruits are on a mission of destruction and will be told to deploy this underhanded tactic so that another recruit can capture the specific event to make the target look bad. Okay, so first of all, look bad under whose eyes? Everyone's? Possibly everyone that is like in your immediate area. But what are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it? You're not doing anything. If you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, you have absolutely nothing to worry about, regardless of what type of proof that they might have. Because if someone shows you a picture of me hanging out here at the police station, there's just me hanging out in the police station, freaking with my phone talking to you guys. If I'm at a school doing this, so what? Who's gonna be like, oh, look at this person? He's like, who's gonna be doing that? You know, this gangstalking only becomes effective when they have conditioned you to have the you versus everyone mentality. That's the only time it becomes effective. But the everyone isn't. It feels like it when you are like using drugs and you've been staying out for a while because the drugs make you paranoid. It does have to do a lot with drugs. Like when you're not using drugs, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. Next. Example. A young female or male recruit will be told to go up to the older female or male target to begin a conversation, or place themselves in a compromising position so that the male or female target can be photographed or videotaped with a target, giving false impression that it was a targeted individual who initiated the act. First of all, when you go to the police, if you have a picture of like that happening? So first, if you have a picture, the victim has to be like, oh yeah, they did this to me. But in reality, there's nothing to it. It's just a picture. If you have your junk out or you're actually doing something nefarious, then yeah, I understand. But otherwise, it is just a picture with an optical with the illusion of something happening like that. But the other person is not going to be yelling or crying. You're just like casually standing there. That's BS. This is a joke. This is just I feel like this is just written to make you paranoid of people who are walking up to you to ask you a question. So one thing that I have to tell you is that gang stalking, even though it is very elaborate, it is not as big as you might feel it to be sometimes. When you're connected, you feel that everyone is involved, but it's only when you're connected. When you're disconnected, you're gonna notice, you're gonna see, it's gonna be obvious to you who are gang stalkers. They're identifying themselves as gang stalkers by doing the gang signs. And it is like, there was a time where I felt like, where I was at Fashion Valley Mall, and I thought everyone was doing the gang stalker sign. Everyone. But it was just that I was connected. I was living in impossibility because it was not happening. It was just my perception of the situation. It was crazy. It was so cool. But yeah, gang stalking is a lot smaller than what you might think. Now, but I'm gonna tell you the truth that it is still big, but it's not as insane as it might appear when you're getting gang stalked. The absurdity of the gang stalking protocol, proving it to be fourth generational warfare, can be seen in the following quote. Ooh, we're getting a quote. Let's see. To break this down for anyone who has half a brain and the ability to think for themselves. Let's see. So if you don't understand this, you're stupid, apparently. If the target were that horrible of a person or had committed such crimes, the architects behind the covert stages of profiling and warrantless stalking and surveillance would have, in their covert stages, actually had material evidence. Okay, wait. Apparently I don't have the freaking half brain. Okay. If the target were that horrible of a person or had committed such crimes, the architects behind the covert stages of profiling and warrantless stalking and surveillance would have, in the covert stages, actually had material evidence. Okay. All right. So if you were such a horrible person, they would actually already have evidence. Okay, that makes sense. I understand that. And it feels like they're trying to produce it because they don't have any evidence. Okay, so this is actually helpful because you feel a lot of times I was convinced that I was the horrible person that they were portraying me to be. I thought I was trash. Whenever I saw a trash can or a freaking a person spitting on the floor, or I would hear the beep beep from the trash truck, I would think to myself, gang stalkers are calling me trash. I identified with that. I identified with trash. That's how into the gang stalking perception I was. They convinced me that I was trash. Like they did. And I know I'm not, but I was made. I know it sounds weird to say, but just like a narcissist can make someone do something stupid, gang stalkers made me behave like trash. Like me, my normal look, I'm a casual drug user. I have always been. Where I like, just like my last relapse, I had like a little 3-day binge, and then I stopped for months. And that's it. And then I'm done. And then I live my life, I work, I'm productive, take care of myself, and then do that again next time I feel like it. But it's typically like half a year later. And what I realized was that after I did this, people who I knew were gang stalkers are trying to communicate with me. They're trying to talk to me every day. I have to block them. And I very clearly told them, I'm not going to be doing any of this for a couple of months. So just don't contact me. And that was the first thing that they began doing. Contacting me. So now I literally just have to block them because they won't leave me alone. And I just have to block all of them. But I was made to behave like an absolute and complete drug addict to such an extent that I lost everything. But now that I have blocked all the gang stalkers and all the outside influence from my life, I am myself again, where I only engage in the behavior that is slutty and trashy once in a while. And I'm okay with that. Now, I'm sorry, why did I tell you that? God, this is a long section. Ugh. Okay, so let's continue. As you shop, you will begin to notice this retail store begins to have an influx of people showing up who appear to recognize who you are, but are a total stranger to you. This is, so I'm gonna tell you. So if you're getting gang stalked, right, you are in a state of panic, and you are walking around the mall like I was. The panic shows on your face. When you feel that people are following you, when you feel that there's a bunch of people that are following you, you are going to have a facial expression of panic, of terror. And people are gonna notice something uncanny about you, and they're gonna look at you funny. And you will interpret it as if they know you, but in reality, it is you who is interpreting them differently. You are interpreting their reaction to you having a face of panic or of anxiety as them knowing you. You are just giving an off vibe. So at this point, you are just thinking about the gang stalking. You are really unaware of how you are behaving. And people will look at you funny, and they will appear like they know who you are. But, and they might once or twice. I was gang stalked for 6 years, and only, well, actually, it happened at the gym. At the gym, I feel like I was getting gang stalked every day, where they were doing the signal, or they were trying to like interrupt what I was doing. Like if I was doing a hand balance yoga pose, they would like walk and stomp the floor hard where I was walking by. So, yeah. That's all I have to say. I mean, it can be, people will recognize you, I guess, sometimes, but my recommendation is to, while you focus on the people, you start looking for confirmation bias. You're expecting people to know you, so you are looking at the people's faces to see if they recognize you. Don't look out for that. Just go to the store and do what you were doing. So when this thing happened, I was at Zara, and that was the day that I thought that everyone at the mall was a gang stalker. And I was at Zara, and there was a line, and the line didn't move for like 20 minutes. And I felt that gang stalkers just got in line and stopped moving the line only to create an inconvenience for me, so that I would be there wasting my time. And I was convinced about that. I was completely convinced, like 100%. That was crazy. But it was because it was gang. I was still in the gang stalking mindset. Thinking of it, I haven't been to Zara in forever. I love that store. I need to go shopping. Anyways, this is going really long. I'm gonna make the next video right now, and I'm gonna post this as soon as possible. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.